Uh, Hopefully, you're all familiar with this. Case produced it about 18 months ago. We commissioned Warwick Mansell, the journalist, to look into the how the impact of high management costs is having an effect on classrooms. Excuse me. Now, we know the concerns about high management costs have been with us for some years. This is the Public Accounts Committee in 2018, and justifiably high salaries use public money that could be better spent on improving children's education and supporting frontline teaching staff. So 2018, 6 years ago, and that wasn't the first occasion. And successive secretaries of state have said something will happen, and education committees have said something happened. And what has happened is that it all went very quiet. So we asked Warwick to look into the costs, and what he found was quite enlightening. Now, the first thing I want to say is that there are some misconceptions that the previous government were keen for us to take on board, like, for instance, that all schools are academies. In reality, more than half of our schools are still run by local authorities, although just over half of our pupils are in academies. There's no difference in outcomes. So what Warwick did is he took the 50 largest MATs and the 10 largest local authorities, because they each educate roughly the same amount of children, 850,000. And he looked at actually what they spend on management. And unfortunately, the figures on this are a little small, but the first bar is for trusts who educate more than 10,000 children. And the figure at the top is how much per head goes into management costs. And in those trusts, £79 per child goes into management costs. And as the trusts get smaller in the number of children they educate, so the cost gets lower. So this notion that there is an economy of scale in trusts when you get a bigger trust is actually the reverse is true. The costs go up as a trust gets bigger. And down at the end there, you have local authorities at £28 per head. So that's the reality. That's the impact on classrooms of management salaries. So what can we do about it? Well, first of all, we should recognise that collaboration benefits schools. And we've always had things like federations. And certainly in my borough, Greenwich, one of the things that happened when Gove kicked off the latest round of academisation was that several of our federations then became academy trusts. But they were already collaborating and cooperating. We also need to recognise that the academies system came in as a response to local authorities not particularly fulfilling their duties in some instances very well. Some authorities do very well. But that was the original Blair idea, and then Gove subverted it and used it as a means of introducing market forces into the education system. But we do need to recognise that whilst we're saying we prefer local authority control, that local authorities may need restructuring and rethinking. Things we could do is we could regulate trust management pay in the way that we regulate other staff. So teachers, national pay and conditions, support staff, national pay and conditions, head teachers also to a large degree in local authority schools. Now, across the country, even in MATs and academies, a lot of heads still maintain those national pay scales. But it seems to be in the large trusts where these excessive management costs come in, not exclusively, but mainly in those large trusts. So we could pin management pay to, say, civil service pay, or to the pay the local authority pay scales. So there are ways of regulating that pay. Need to reform the school governance. In a large MAT, you need only have a board of 3 people making all the decisions across the MAT. Most of them don't, but there's no single management structure for MATs, as there is more or less a regulated structure for local authority schools. As Carla said, regional schools commissioners cost around £35 million a year. Now, if we don't have the MAT system, or if we give local authorities the powers, the place planning obligation, the power to fulfil place planning, then we no longer need those MATs. I think we're all clear. You know, we are fragmented. We need to change. Thank you.